Hi guys, Mike here, and today we're heading down to the shop and we're back on this mortar build. Since everything is all closed up in our state, I think I'm going to do a little bit more work on this mortar. It's done and ready to shoot, but I think since we've got the time, we'll go ahead and put a little brass calibration plate on the side of this, and should make it easier to zero in on the target. So we're just waddling down to the shop, and I'll show you what we plan on doing here. Boy, it's nice out. I think spring is finally here. Leaves on the trees are starting to pop out. Here are the geese up on the pond. These two boxes, I gotta burn them. A couple of cat scratchers that my wife got came in them. So, all right. I'll just show you real quick what our rough plans are on this. Just a little layout of our mortar here, and I've just kind of drawn in where this plate's going to go. It'll be a little pointer here, and so the hardest part of this job is this is a duck for a rotary table. I don't have one, but I do have a dividing head with a chuck on it, so we'll see if we can rig something up to hold that brass plate while we chew out the outsides and engrave the degree lines in here. Okay. Alright, so I'll show you that. Alright, here's a quick look at our setup for this little brass plaque. So I have my index head on the mill with a 3-jaw chuck on it. This piece is a scrap piece that I welded a shank onto. That's held in my 3-jaw chuck. I just randomly drilled 3 holes in here. Just used screws and washers to hold down the brass plaque. And I have my tap follower in here. I'm going to attempt to use this tap follower to lay this out. And I want to lay out in here because it may prevent me from making a big boo-boo when I put the cutter in here and start cutting it. So I'm going to put some layout ink on here and we'll get started. Yeah, I think you can see it. So I know I've got my line right. Now this isn't a perfect 90 degrees. It actually is 90 degrees, but this side here stops exactly on the 0 point. This side here comes around and then extends out another 3/16 of an inch and kind of a straight. So it's kind of subtle to see. So I think I can put my cutter in here now and we'll get to cutting. Once we get it cut, we can get to engraving. Okay guys, here's the legend plate, or the calibration plate for this thing. And I did a little crappy job on the numbers. I should have used an etching pencil and free-handed them in there. Would have done a better job. But that'll go something like so. and there'll be a pointer coming off of this trunnion bar. So it's just a little bit of a glimpse of what it's going to end up looking like. So now we're working on this little pointer, and I didn't make a dimension drawing of it. It's just too simple. I can pretty much carry everything in my head. It's just a little piece of brass, and it's about 5/16 of an inch wide and about 1 3/8 inches long. It's got some shape cut into it here. This little pointer you line up with these degree lines when you set the cannon. And so I've got this little brass piece roughed out, and we'll cut it down to we'll cut it into a rectangle here to the various dimensions, and then we'll start cutting the detail into it. And here's how we're going to square this up. Got my, let's see, this is my 1.5" parallel. Yeah, that's my 1.5" parallel. You notice my parallels are kind of beefy. I don't really care for the thin parallels. It always seemed to me like they tip over real easy. And this set here that I've got, that I made years ago, has served me well for like 50 years. So that's what I prefer. So okay, so how do you clamp this in here with the thicker parallels? So I've got my 3/4 parallel. I set it in here like so. And there you are. It's good enough to take the first pass. Okay. So this is what we came up with for a calibration plate on this mortar. And this little pointer here is inset into the trunnion, and then it's calibrated. It's the calibration lines are every 5 degrees, and so that'll wrap it up for this video. And no more videos until we shoot it. I promise the next time we'll shoot it. And excuse this clamp. I've got some. I'm gluing this on because my son's going to finish this with some kind of a gun finish. And so he's going to have to take that plaque off to do that. So I just glued it on with some Celastic, and yeah, he'll be able to pop that off with a razor blade pretty easy. But that'll hold it on, you know, during our test shooting. So that's it for this one. We'll see you later, guys. This is Mike signing out. All right, confession time. I made a little boo-boo here. Actually, it's a kind of a big boo-boo. And that's what happens when you let your mind wander a little bit on this project. And I was getting down towards the end of the project, and I was thinking, boy, there's not much that can go wrong now. Everything's pretty simple. And I thought I was being careful, but evidently I was daydreaming, because this notch, this slot right here, is 90 degrees out of position. It should be, it's facing this way, and it should be facing this way. So where this little pointer, I've got it pointing down, and really it should be pointing like this. So several different ways to fix it. I could cut that right down and cut this slot right out of it and just mount the pointer right on the top of the end of the shaft. Or I could cut this portion of it off. You'd have about the same situation. But I think I'm going to go ahead and weld this, and then I'll recut the notch. So I guess we better get on with it because the boys coming this weekend, so we've got to have this ready.